Hey guys, welcome to Jazz Piano Lessons. I'm assuming this is one of your first jazz piano lessons, if not your first piano lesson. If that's the case, you are in the right place. I'm going to teach you how to improvise, I'm going to teach you a simple tune, and we're going to get started as quickly as possible. G'day guys, I'm Glenn Seddon here from Jazz Piano Lessons. .online behind me is online, it says jazzpianolessons.online. Now I've written this piece of music for you, just for you, and I've called it Blues for You Tube. And I know that's a terrible joke. I am a dad, I've got 3 kids, so I'm sorry. All right, so let's get into it, eh? A simple little tune, and this is also what you can, so download that, Blues for YouTube, the notation there. I don't care if you can read yet because I'm going to be able to show you how to do it without reading anyway, right? And here's some other stuff as well that you'll need to know that I'll teach you along the way. Now, what I do want to say is that we're going to start by looking at the tune, this little piece of music that I've written, some of the chords, and improv. And I'm going to show you an easy way to do it. I'm going to give you some theory, but I'm expecting that that you won't learn it all in this lesson, but we will, take a few shortcuts to be able to play the tune, and then you can come back and gain some more understanding as time goes by. All right, so let's get you playing up fast as possible. Now, I'm assuming you know a little bit about piano. I'm assuming you know how to kind of, pick what the notes are. If you don't know, this is D. I always teach D as the white note in between the 2 black notes. You got the 3 and then the 2, right? So here's the D, okay? And you can go, all the white notes are basically just alphabetical order from there. So if I went backwards, D, C, B, A, all right? A, B, C, D, E, F, G, starts again, okay? Now the black notes, if you go up, that's a D sharp. If you think of it as coming down, this is the note E, so that'd be an E flat. Okay, now I'm assuming you kind of know a little bit about that, so I'm not going to go and talk about that any further, all right? You need to know what the notes are, all right? This isn't a beginner lesson, but this is a beginner jazz lesson, all right? So, but if you've not played much piano at all, this is still the tutorial for you, I promise. Okay, so what we've got here is a very simple tune. Let me play it for you. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and... Here's the last line. Alright, I'm going to pretty much teach you how to play what I'm playing here now, right? And then this. Now, in the next lessons, I'll kind of teach you how to play a little bit more like this. All right, so that's kind of where I'm going to try and take you in the next little bit of time. All right, so let's learn first of all the tune. Where's the slide I need? All right, so we're going to learn the tune first. Oops, I'm going way too far back. The tune, then we're going to look at the chords, and then we're going to look at how to improvise in this tutorial on this particular piece of music, all right? So here we go. The tune, it's a very simple tune. We're going F, E flat, C. They're all just quarter notes, so it's 1, 2 and 3 and 4, and then have 2 beats rest after that in the new bar. So 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2. All right, and we've got a bit of a swing with those 8th notes there, those quavers sometimes we call them. All right, so it's 1, through and 3 and 4, and so you're going long, short, a little bit, all right? You can kind of make that however you want. Now it's going to pretty much do exactly the same thing 3 times. 4, 1 and 2, and all right, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3. Here's the next line. You'll notice the notes are exactly the same. The chords are different, okay? All right, 2 and 3, 4. I just wanted to make something really simple. Here's the last little bit. There's a one note different. 4 or 1, 2. All right, so it's got an E natural there in that. All right, so that's the tune. Press pause, have a go at that a couple of times. And if you want to, you might want to just play the root note of the chord at beat 1. Or, as you can see, like here where it goes C7 to F7. So what is the root note? Well, the root note is this F, this B flat, the F, the C, the F, okay? All right, so what I want you to do is if you want to, have a go at this. This is not mandatory, of course, but have a go at playing, just holding that down. So like F, and here's B flat. 1, 2, F, 2, 3, 4, and C. F, B flat. I'm gonna play a B natural. 2 and 3, 4, and A, and D, a D, and D, a 1, 2, and D, F, and D, and G, and C, and then we go back to the beginning, all right? All right, have a go at that, press pause, or just keep looking at the next a bit more, and anyway, here we go. We're going to look at the chords now. Now, on that sheet of paper, which you can download at jazzpianolessons.online. Hey, if you're liking this tutorial so far, why don't you give a like, let YouTube know it's a half-decent tutorial, and you know, and subscribe if you've been here a couple of times and you like what we're doing, you know. Subscribe and you get some more of it, all right? That's good for you. So here's the basic chords, right? So most of these chords are what we call dominant seventh chords. They're the chords that don't have anything else, that don't have the dim or the M in front of it. The M stands for minor, okay? So F7 is a F dominant 7, B flat 7 is a B flat dominant 7, and all that. All right, so we're going to play the F7, the B flat 7, all that kind of stuff as we go. Now, I want you to learn these chords, play them at least once, and just look at them, okay? All right, go to the B flat. Here's the B flat. Here's the C chord. C7. Here's the B diminished. All right, now notice that the B diminished is very close to the B flat 7. All right, it's the same as the B flat 7, but with a B bass, all right? Every one of the other notes is the same, all right? So why don't we look at it here? It's a little bit easier to play, isn't it? All right, so just practice these are in root position. We're not actually going to play them in root position. We're going to play them in some, a more simpler way, really. It's actually more simple. It's going to be simpler, but you just need to know a tiniest little bit of understanding on this, but you don't need to know them real good. When we put them into inversions, you need to know kind of the inversion real good, but I'm going to show you how to do that. It's going to be easy, all right? So there's your F7. Here's your B flat 7. All right, and then it goes back to F7, but I'm not going to look at that. So yeah, remember that B diminished 7 is really close to the B flat 7. C7, C, E, G, B flat. What else? We've got A minor 7. Okay. And D7. D, F sharp, A, C. G minor 7. And G7, I think is the next one. Yep. Now it's almost the same thing, but instead of the B flat, you've got a B, okay? So that's a G7. Now, jazz musos do a lot with those chords and kind of do all sorts of things with them, right? So, but they're the basic fundamental chords of jazz, these seventh chords, right? The minor 7s, dominant 7th, major 7s. They're the kind of the standard chords in jazz, all right? But we do extensions and we do alterations, and we reharmonize and do all sorts of things to get some really cool stuff. But for now, that's all you need to know. Now, whilst we're playing this particular tune, we're just going to look at playing the 3rd and the 7th note of the chord. Okay, so the F7 is 1. So this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, if you're thinking of the scale, which I'm going to show you in the next lesson, not this lesson. But we've got 1, 2, 3, 5, 7, okay? So just think that as you make up the chord, those notes are 1, 3, 5, 7, okay? 1, 3, 5, 7. Okay, now we're basically going to swap between 3, 7 in one chord and then 7, 3 in the next chord. Okay, so hopefully that sort of makes sense. So here is 3, 7, okay? We're going to put the 7 down an octave. So we're going 7, 3 of the F chord to start with. That's all we're going to play. The 3 and the 7, they're called the guide tones, and they tell us whether it's a major scale, a major chord, or a dominant chord, or a minor chord, and it kind of really guides our ears to hear what's going on. Oh, there's an alarm going off in the background. Hopefully that's not coming through. Apologise if it is, guys. All right, so it goes. We just maybe play it once. So you could play it at the beginning if you want to, and just kind of add in that F7, right? Which we're only playing E flat and A. Okay. So now with the rhythm, you want to be doing some kind of variation of this. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And for the jazz, particularly this particular one, we're going to give that long, short, long, short, long, short for this bluesy kind of jazz piece that we're looking at today, right? So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so you're going to hit on either like one of the beats, 1, 2, 3 and 4, or on the off beats, the 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You're not going to go 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. You're not going to do all of them, but you're just going to do some of them. So you could practice doing this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, that's pretty much the first line of the notes that we're going to play. Now, let me talk you through what I just did then. Here is 7, 3 of the F7 chord. All right. Now, when we go to 3, 7 of the B flat chord, we're going to do that. So literally what's happened is these two notes just go down 1. You see that? So there's F7, 2 and 3, 4, here's B flat 7. So see how simple that is? It sounds really good, right? So you go dun, 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 and then you go back up. All right, makes sense? All right, now for the C7, we're going to do 3 and 5, 3 and 7, right? So here's our 3, here's our 7. Okay, so that means we're just going up. Back down for the F. Okay, so we've got F, B flat, F, C, F, all right, with the melody. You're not playing all the time. Oh, here I'm going to do 2 and 3, 4. So that last bar, that's C7 and F7 here, I did 1, 2, 3, 4, as in like 1, 2, 3, 4. I did that, okay, that time. All right, so let's have a look at the next line. We're going to go that B flat chord. We already know how to do that. Now the B diminished, same notes except for the B flat, right? There was our B flat 7, here's our B. So these notes are not going to change, okay? If we're putting in a bass note, which we might later on, we're going to just play the B flat when it's the B flat, right? But then when it's the B diminished 7, play the same notes here, but play B down the bottom, and then come back up there. They would get that kind of sound, right? So, staying on that. I go back to the F7, okay? All right. For the A minus 7, I'm not going to walk you through all of these ones. You can kind of work them out for yourself to some degree, but I'm just going to show you show them to you, all right? So here's 7 and 3 of the A minor. Here is 3 and 7 of the D7. So we're going to literally do G and C, and just the G drops to the F sharp. 2 and 3 and 4. So here's that whole line, the B flat. Here's the B. Here comes the F, 3 and 4, and 1, 2 and 3, 4. All right, here's the next, here's G minor. That's 7 and 3. All right, the F's going to drop to a C for the chord that we're going to do. That's what we were doing before anyway. And remember, you got that E natural. And there's our F chord, all right. Now we're going to go to the D7, we're going to go up to that, the F sharp, and then we're just going to come down by semitone, by half step each time, like that, all right. So we're just going, each note's just going to come down. And then we're back to the beginning of the song. All right, hopefully that makes sense for you. So, because I want you to be able to get playing as quick as possible. I've given you some understanding, but I'm sure you haven't fully comprehended, you know, all those chords and how to play them completely, right? But that's okay, right? You got a little bit of an understanding, and you can also start playing because that's pretty easy to play, right? Okay. And then you play them kind of whatever beats you want to do to make it kind of feel good, right? And that's one of the great things about jazz, is that it's all about you making it up to some extent, all right? So which is kind of cool. All right, so let's have a look now at the first scale that you're going to need to know to do some improvising. It's a super simple scale. It's not a scale I use that much myself these days. I still use it, but not as much as I used to. But when I was first introduced to this scale when I was a kid, I was probably about, I don't know, 8 or 9 years old or 10 years old, I can't remember exactly. But I got introduced to this scale and I was like, oh my goodness, why have people been hiding this from me? This was amazing. And from that day on, I started to improvise, all right? Because somebody showed me how I can improvise. And it kind of just changed my musical, you know, direction completely at that moment. All right, so now there are some other scales I'm going to show you too. But this is the one to start with. If this is your first attempt at improvising, this is the scale you need to have a crack at. And we're going to break it down a little bit so we're not trying to do the whole lot in one go. All right, so this is the blues scale, and because we're playing in the key of F, we're going to play the F blues scale. Now there's a whole bunch of other scales that we can add in, some arpeggios, which we're going to do in the next few lessons. But for today, this is the scale that you want to get used to. And it's not like you'll stop using this scale. You'll use it, you know, forever, okay, which is great. All right. Now the scale is, if you know a little bit about major scales, it's 1, a lowered 3, lowered 4, and it's 1, flat 3, 4, sharp 4, I should say, 5, flat 7, and then it goes back to 8, which is the same as 1. If you don't understand that, don't worry about that. If you do, then hopefully that's a little bit of help too. All right. So what I want you to do is get to kind of think of this in 2 parts, right? We've got the C, E flat, and the F, okay? Which was part of the melody. You know, we used that, right? So you're just going to kind of muck around with playing those 3 notes in different ways. All right, 2 and 3, 4. And you try and keep that chord going there. All right, see how you can kind of make a little tune out of that? Repeat some of those notes. Make sure you have a bit of play the notes and then have a little rest. So we want some phrases, right? Otherwise, you know, it's like you're just talking and never stop talking, right? You gotta say something and give the listener a chance to digest what you've said, and then you go say something else, all right? So, and hopefully what you've said next is a little bit related to what you did before. So sometimes when we repeat, it actually works really well. Sometimes we repeat with a slight change that can work exceptionally well. So basically what we do is we develop a theme, right? Rather than, doing one thing and going straight to another thing, we kind of, talk about the same topic for a while, right? But we're talking in the language of music, not in, English like I'm talking right now. Okay, so there's your start, and then think of this shape, the F, A flat, and B flat as another shape, right? So you can kind of practice. All right, there's your kind of two shapes there. Now, once you get a little bit kind of used to where those two shapes are, then try and put them together into one scale. Put your thumb underneath for the B. All right, so we're adding in the B, right? So it doesn't mean you have to play the scale up and down. Get used to playing it up and down. All right, work out a way that works for your fingers. But then you want to kind of be able to play a little bit past there. You don't want to always, be having to start here or here. You want to be able to kind of... All right, let me play a little bit of that with the piece of music. All right, so let's go back to... Oh, no, it's gone too far. Let's go back to the tune so we can kind of see a little bit of it. One, I'm not playing the melody, right? I'm just playing I'm thinking about the chords, okay? So I'm still playing the chord progression, but I'm playing notes from the F blues scale, okay? They're the only notes I'm gonna pick for the entire piece of music, all right? 2 and 3 and 4. All right, here's the B chord. See how that works? All right, so now, of course, again, there's going to be lots of other notes that you can chuck in there all over the place, all right? But start with that. Now, here's a couple of ideas if you're struggling. You're like, oh, okay, what am I going to do? Well, maybe just copy a couple of these ideas and then you can start building your, what we call a musical vocabulary, all right? So it's like, this is a new language, right, isn't it? It's just language. So you just got to start with a couple of phrases and then you can build your language. And eventually you want to have the language that works for you, right? So you want your musical sound to come out eventually, right? So here's a couple of things to copy. 2 and 3 and 4 and... All right, just try that. Da, didn't do da. Okay, there's 1, 2, 3 and 4 and... All right, there's another one. It's almost a little bit like smoke and water to start with, wasn't it? A bit too close to that maybe. All right, so there's another one you can have a go at. Here's another one, just with one note. 2 and 3 and 4 and... And then I just added in an A flat there at the end, all right? So there's some ideas to get you started. Of course, make sure you can kind of do the scale like that. You might want to go, that can kind of work something like that. All right, now in lesson 2, so have a go at that. In lesson 2, we're going to look at the guide tones and how to use them to improvise. We actually played the guide tones with our left hand here. We're going to look at the guide tones, how to improvise on that, use them to improvise. We're going to look at a couple of modes, just 3 modes that are going to help us to be able to play some more interesting ideas that go beyond just the F blues scale. And we're also going to look at a couple of the arpeggios from the chords. So here's a This is what's called an F mixolydian. We're going to look at that, and we're going to look at the arpeggios. Right? Now, as we do that, we're going. Back at the blues scale. Now I'm back. It's raining here. All right, so I'm going to stop because it's all of a sudden it's going to sound like fuzzy kind of stuff going on, but it's just I'm on a tin roof, under a tin roof, and it's raining. All the best, guys. I'll see you again for the next lesson, and hey, subscribe for the next one if you haven't already. All right, catch you soon. Bye.